I'll hear shit all the time from conversations. You can't talk to me because I'm mining it for bits, for songs. But I try to deliver it as straightforward and as little pretension as possible.
Welcome to the Dreams of Consciousness podcast. If you'd be so kind, would you mind introducing yourself?
Hey, I'm Tarek from Intercourse.
And Tarek, how would you describe the music of Intercourse?
I would describe it as noise rock slash hardcore or noisecore. Yeah.
Noisecore. And in terms of what those terms mean, do you feel like discordance is a big part of your sound?
Yeah. Discordance, we have blast beats. The guitars are distorted most of the time. The bass, well, not most of the time. Yeah, it's distorted. It's kind of like punk, but sometimes it's kind of like sludge metal. Sometimes it's grindy. Sometimes it's hardcore. We tend to go all over the place.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about the history of Intercourse? How did this project come together?
We started in 2013 because I was just sick of being in metal bands. And I was 29. I was about to turn 30. And I just wanted to do something. Just I had been in like five bands throughout my 20s. I just wanted to start one really cool band and see how long I could keep it going.
When you say you were sick of metal bands, what was it about the style that you got tired of?
I just been doing it so long, and I just got to a point where I did not want to scream over another breakdown. I played some festival. It was like a local fest, and it was a benefit, and it was like eight fucking metalcore, metal, death metal bands. And I remember like three or four bands in, just closing my eyes and not being able to tell any of the singers apart. And then it got to the point where I kind of couldn't even hear myself sounding any different from any of them. And I just got super bored with it. And I was already listening to way more hardcore and noise rock. I was way more into like the Germs and the wave of the first wave of hardcore in the 80s, the American stuff, like bands like the Dicks and MDC and Black Flag. And also Amphetamine Reptile and how all the stuff from the 80s kind of blossomed into noise rock in the 90s. So I was just not feeling the genre at all anymore. I wasn't listening to it in my spare time, so I just wasn't enthusiastic about it.
Was part of the idea behind Intercourse to do something that was much more open in terms of music,
Yes.
not as boxed in as like metal and metalcore and those kind of.
Yeah, exactly. Just something with a lack of boundaries, as I like to call it.
How did you meet your other bandmates? Were they people you knew from the scene?
Well, so Intercourse had three other people in it originally, and we played one show before we went on a tour where I kind of had a feeling our current drummer, wasn't going to last much longer. And he ended up like leaving 2 days into this. It wasn't a serious tour. It was just like 4 days down to Florida. And then, we would just drive all the way back. It was only four shows. But anyways, at the show, this band Brunettes was playing. And I was watching their drummer and I was like, he's really good and he's really fun to watch. So I kind of ticked it in my mind. And then, like 2 weeks later, when the kid left us, I immediately messaged Caleb, who's been in the band since 2015. And I'm the only person from the original lineup, but Caleb's pretty much been in the band as long as me. And he's written a lot of the fucking music. So then we had our friend Jay Barnes joined the band in 2015, and he was in it from 2015 to 2019. And him and Caleb wrote most of the material on like Everything's Pornography and Pissing into the Abyss and our Bumwine 7 inch. And then we kind of had a minute where we kind of split up and we got back together with Caleb's friends, Sean, who's in the band now, and Pete. And yeah, that's pretty much. So I met Caleb and then I met everybody else through Caleb, except for Jay Barnes, who I knew forever. Was that too contrived?
No, that was more or less the answer I was looking for.
Yeah, the band history is weird with us because there's been so many people in and out of the band. If I went through everybody, we'd be here all night.
Sure, I understand. I mean, I'm somebody who likes death metal but also likes noise rock, and it's hard to find people who are into sludgy, noisy, flipper kind of stuff and Black Flag, and also into blast beats. So when you met Caleb, it must have been you guys must see things in a very similar light.
Yeah, he's really cool. He's like 10 years younger than me, but he's a very big black metal fan. And he's also into death metal a lot too. But yeah, we're all over the place with the things we like. And he also writes a lot of the music. Did I say that? Like he also plays guitar and fucking has probably written like 75% of the songs we've had in the band since he's joined it. But yeah, we appreciate like a lot of death metal, like a lot of the old 90s stuff, or even there was a lot of cool stuff that 20 Bucks Spin was putting out a few years ago, like that band Scorch was really cool. And well, everyone loves Tomb Mold. Oh, there was another band on that label called Ghastly. But yeah, we like definitely just like all forms of extreme music, and we kind of wanted to combine that with some pop sensibility.
Well, explain the pop sensibility side. Is it the song length? Like, what is it about pop music and that style that you draw from?
You know what? I'm kind of kidding. I do like simple ass shit though, and like we definitely have a rule where we try to keep shit as like short and to the point as possible.
Right.
So I guess in that respect, it is kind of poppy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the songs are catchy, right? There are a lot of hooks in Intercourse's music.
Oh, nice. Am I doing hooks? You mean
A
like
little bit.
vocal hooks? Nice. I don't know because
Well,
I hear it so you can't be objective when you write and record it. It's just impossible.
yeah. Well, I don't know about vocal hooks, but I was a big Dead Guy fan, and definitely like a lot of his lyrics would kind of stick with you after the fact, and I feel like you share that with Dead Guy. Like,
Thank you. I love that guy.
I think of some of the some of the lyrics you have about like podcasts about I wish I had. Let me look for the line. Listening to podcasts where famous people complain about problems I wish I had. Like that's a line that sticks with you.
Yeah, man. And if that's just not a sign of our times, like slaving away at work, like just miserable, listening to some fucking comedian on a podcast, like Joe Rogan talking about the sauna he got built in the back of his fucking house. Well, you just like,
His elk meat,
yeah, man. I wish
his fridge full of elk meat.
I really want to get Chipotle today, but I can't really afford it, so I'm going to get Taco Bell. Yeah.
When you write your lyrics, do you do a lot of free writing? Is it a lot of like stuff that's on your mind and then you consolidate it to the song?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's kind of a mix, but I try to make it as straightforward and like you want it to be good, and sometimes there's definitely like poetry and language you hear when people talk. Like I'll hear shit all the time from like, conversations. You can't talk to me because I'm mining it for bits for songs, but I try to deliver it as straightforward and as with as little pretension as possible. But at the same time, try to make it like a song and see if I can make it kind of artsy fartsy so I could feel like a poet.
Yeah.
Yes.
As far as the writing that you and Caleb and the other guys do, is it separate or do you guys come up with riffs and arrangements together?
A lot of times they'll come in with whole songs. Sean wrote a bunch of full songs. He came in with songs with like three, four time changes. And then, maybe like Pete will bring a riff in and then we'll fuck with it and turn it into a full song. But it's kind of both, just depending on where we have as a jumping off point.
Are the songs usually complete by the time you hear them?
Me,
Yeah.
no, not all the times.
Okay.
To me, a song isn't complete until the drums are on it because that just dictates everything.
All right.
So if I get three or four riffs like together in song form, like it's the riffs are written, but I never know what I'm gonna do because I don't know where the drums are gonna take it, and that's kind of the life of any good rock and roll band. Like drums are the most important instrument. So not until there's a solid beat behind it, I don't consider it finished.
I mean, I think, especially coming from a metal background, people, when people say that the drums are the most important instrument, I think that's a feeling that a lot of people share. But I'm curious if you can elaborate on that. Like, why do you feel that the drums are the most important instrument?
Because a good drummer can make a fucking mediocre or shitty guitar player sound good, but you could have the best guitar player in the world, and if the drummer sucks, the band sucks. That's the drums are what give the music the energy and everything. So I mean, it's facts. It's just a fact, man. If you talk to any musician, they'll tell you like anybody would rather play with a The better your drummer is, just the better your band. Because it's just high energy music, you know?
Yeah, I think the difference between a good band and a great band is a great drummer.
Oh, absolutely. When I see bands live, I generally watch the singer or the drummer.
Yeah. In terms of the songs that you said Sean comes up with, mostly complete, are are Sean and Caleb demoing stuff on like a DAW, like Pro Tools or something like that?
Yeah, well, we demoed everything before we went into the studio. Usually it starts off like just a cell phone video or a just a voice recording of a riff. But yeah, we fucking demoed everything in Pete's basement. Pete figured out how to be the demo master, and yeah, every instrument, every vocal was demoed. So we kind of recorded the album twice. Right before we recorded it once for demos, right before the studio. So like we went in and we just were laser focused and didn't waste any time.
So, since you guys formed in 2013, you've been averaging almost a release a year. You must be writing songs pretty quickly.
Yeah, we just fucking let our inner mutant caveman take over and just try to spit them out and not overthink anything. And we love doing it. Like it's I don't really like do anything else. I don't really have fucking hobbies. I have a son and I go to the gym in the morning. But other than that, my life is pretty much just go to work, hang out with my son, and think about cool stuff I want to say. Read books to try and think of cool shit I want to say. That's pretty much it. That's what life's all about to me. So, but yeah, that's where I think at our happiest when we're writing or like in the studio. I know I'm in a PR cycle right now for this album, and I just like I'm doing like two podcasts a week, just filling out interviews all day on my break. I'm in heaven just talking about music and stupid shit all day. It's great.
So, let's talk about the album that you're on the PR cycle for. It's called How I Fell in Love with a Void, and it will be released on September 12th through Brutal Panda Records. Did you go into this album wanting to do anything different from your previous albums? Did you go in with any specific intention?
Definitely wanted to be less. I wanted to like. I personally wanted to tone down like the silliness a little bit, just because I felt like every now and then people would kind of like feel like we were like a porno grind band or like a joke band.
Right.
So that was definitely a conscious decision, but it's also a fine line because like there's gotta like I can't take anything seriously, and there has to be some humor in it. That's like our thing. That's just part of how I am. I could be bleeding to death, and I'll probably crack a joke. I know there was a real emphasis on songwriting. I know Sean like really fucking dug deep and worked on writing real cohesive and interesting songs. And there was also an effort to make longer songs because most of our albums, we have a lot of minute long songs. And there's only one song that's a minute long on this one. Everything averages like 2 to 3 minutes. So we wanted to hit some more like traditional songwriting goalpost on this one. And also we just wanted like it to have a solid vibe and be like one of those albums that just I don't know. I guess it's just one of those albums that just has a solid fucking vibe and is just fun to listen to all the way through and doesn't overstay its welcome. Yeah, did that answer your question?
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask that after every question too, just so you know.
In terms of people confusing you with a porno grind band or something like that, the song titles are cryptic in a way that I think a lot of noise rock and a lot of chaotic hardcore bands will have funny or almost like I don't want to use the word ironic, but kind of very flippant song titles
Hmm.
that it seems funny, but at the same time, the stuff that they're singing about is very serious. And do you feel like there's a disconnect between what you're singing about, which sometimes you address very serious things like suicide, and the song titles, and people don't necessarily understand where you're coming from?
Maybe sometimes for sure. I remember like I looked on the back of one of our record. I was gonna bring a record to someone at work, and our second LP is called Rule 36, and I flipped it over and I looked at the song titles, and it was like Peter Woodcock's Dick Beaters was one title, and then like the next one was Doctor Catheter, which doesn't even have anything to do with catheters. It's if you ever watch Gremlins 2, that's the name of the doctor in it. It's
Okay.
fucking Christopher Lee's character is called Doctor Catheter, and I was like, oh, that's a cool name. So it has nothing to do with dicks, but yeah, I saw that and I was like, maybe I should not do that so much. But yeah, I think there's definitely a disconnect with shit like that for sure.
The last time I played music with other people, I wrote a song called Ferguson. The song was actually about my dad dying, but I didn't want to give
Oh
it like
damn.
some kind of like austere, like black metal,
Uh-huh.
into the void of darkness or whatever kind of song title. Like I just thought of the name Ferguson, I just wrote it down. And this was years before Michael Brown and Ferguson, Missouri and all that other kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
And my bandmates hated it. They hated that I gave the song like such a weird, like random title.
Uh-huh.
And the more they hated it, the more I wanted to stick with it just because I didn't want to do like, the ultra metal.
What the fuck do they know? Yeah, because that's generic.
Yeah. I don't know. But I also feel like stuff like that, Dead Guy, Dead Guy were not a big band until they were. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Just because they did things in their own way, they found their people. They found the people that were on their wavelength and they became this influential band. And so I feel like, the more you just kind of like go against the grain and buck expectations, the more you find the people who are on your wavelength.
Yeah, exactly. Like music always finds its audience, and I just never could like, if I wanted to be cookie cutter, I would just like actually learn how to sing and do a cover band. So
Right.
yeah.
We addressed your lyrics a little bit. Do you draw mainly from real life, or are there, are you influenced by the news cycle? Are there things going on in the world that you draw from and return to regularly?
Lately, yeah, a lot of real life. I think this one's probably real personal, but in the past, I've definitely done my share of just wacky stories or just weird sci-fi shit. But right now, yeah, real life, the news, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I read a lot. I went on a big fucking fiction binge leading up to writing this album. because I mostly read nonfiction and like true crime, social science, that types of shit. So I got really into just fiction and reading the masters like John Irving, Stephen. Well, I guess Stephen King's everyone reads fucking Stephen King, but Stephen King, short stories like Raymond Carver and Alice Munro. I got really into this poet who's also a novelist called Ocean Vuong. Who else? I read fucking Beloved, which was the only book I've ever read where I had to go to Wikipedia and read along to understand what was going on in it. But yeah, real life fiction. But if you write, you know that fiction is kind of real life. It's just adapted into its own story.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, everything. I look for inspiration everywhere. I'm always on the hunt and I'm always thinking about it. Kind of a problem.
Your vocal styling, your vocal phrasing isn't in like couplets or verse, chorus, verse, or anything like that. What's the biggest challenge in adapting what you want to say to the music?
Sometimes you got to get rid of a word, but for me, it's just like I'm so used to not singing along with the music and just going off on a tangent over it. I just fucking do it at this point. So yeah, there's the only real challenge is when I write too many. You know what the challenge is when I record this shit that I haven't rehearsed and I put a fuck ton of words into it and then we have to play it live and I'm like, oh, why did I put this much words into this little part and now I have to try to do it live and not sound like shit. That's the biggest part. Like lyrics come first. I'm more interested in like writing and being a singer. So I try not to sacrifice any of what I've written to suit a song. I just cram my shit over it. But maybe one day I will become more musical, but probably not anytime soon.
Do you have to warm up your voice before you go into the studio or before you play live?
Brother, yes. I am 41. I started doing this when I was 17 and I could fucking, and I did like, like raspy, like metal vocals and like lows, and I could do it all day long. And now it's just like, if I don't sing, I'm using quotation marks when I say sing. If I don't do that for like a month and we have a show, I literally have to start practicing, just start screaming in my car like a psychopath, like 2, 3 days before the show. And like just every day for like 3 days, like scream like a psychopath until my throat works well enough that I could pull off a show. And I have warm ups that I do. I get them off of YouTube. You just type in vocal warm up, and there is this little like it's like a purple thing with white letters. I think it's an Italian guy. It's like a 5 minute warm up, and it's great. And then he also has a cool down. I think it's like Jacob's Vocal Academy or something. And I do those shits religiously, and that's the only way my voice works. It won't fucking work if I like don't do. Well, I'll just sound like shit, and I'll sound nasally, and I'll blow my voice. So yeah, I fucking warm up. You got it once you hit a certain age.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially what I do. I remember like reading things about like how to metal scream and how to sing. And apparently, like it says, never ever like talk and like yell at full volume. And that's pretty much what I do. So I'm probably destroying my voice.
Meaning, the advice is when you perform vocals, not to project at your full volume, to bring it down a bit.
Yeah, the advice is never like talk and scream.
Interesting.
So yeah, like when I like do that thing where I'm just like ranting, but I'm kind of talking, like not really supposed to do that,
Interesting.
apparently. That's what they say, but what the fuck do they know? You know?
Do you double track your vocals in the studio, or do you just do one take?
No, I really just do one take. I think there's one or two spots that are double track. Maybe, yeah. I think some of the screams I double track, and that's pretty much it. Like, I don't think I could pull off double tracking some of that shit.
Yeah.
Because it'd be like a rapper. Well, actually, I guess rappers do it. There's not really, I mean, there is a set rhythm once I like have it recorded, but nah, I double track the screams to make them juicier, but that's pretty much it.
Where did you end up recording this album?
Oh, it's Silver Bullet Studios in Harwington, Connecticut, which is like the owner, Greg Thomas, and Chris Teddy, they're fucking horror geeks. So it's just full of memorabilia. Like there's a life-size Jack Nicholson Joker and a big fucking Jason Voorhees in the front yard and a giant werewolf. It's fucking sick. And we specifically went in October just to have the nice vibe.
Did you say the nice vibe?
The nice vibe. We had a spooky vibe. We got spooky. We're in Connecticut. We're in New England. There was leaves and foliage and it was crisp.
I got
So
you.
yeah,
Okay.
that's what actually influenced our recording day. I was like, we should go to Silver Bullet in October. It'll be fun. And it was.
Was this the first time that you worked at Silver Bullet?
No, we recorded our last EP, Egyptian Democracy, there, and we had such a good time. And I actually like loved that EP and like listened to it a lot, which is weird. Like you don't really listen to your own music. And yeah, I enjoyed it so much. It sounded so great. And everyone had such a good time. We were like, yeah, let's do a full length there.
Was it also Chris and Greg for the last one?
Yeah. Well, Chris recorded us. Chris was the engineer, and Greg helped mix after that.
Okay. What did you want them to bring to the sound this time around? To the finished mix?
We just wanted to just fucking have a powerful, punchy recording. you know, just like, I mean, I always liked our recordings. I don't really have any recordings that I go back and listen to and are like, because I kind of like shitty recording. Not that they were shitty, but like we recorded a lot of them live, which we did mostly as an aesthetic choice, but it also makes recording so much cheaper. But I don't know, man. People would just like, nobody ever really complained about our recordings, but we just wanted that big production this time. So we figured we've been doing this for a while. We're getting a buzz. Our records are selling. Let's just put our whole balls in it and our whole band account, which was fat at that point. And yes, spend some fucking money on this recording and take some time for once.
I mean, this is a super heavy sounding album. Like the guitars, especially, are really thick and crunchy.
Thank you. I think he did like fucking like just stacked tapes. All I remember is Caleb being done in 2 days, and then Sean just sitting there for read. Caleb's our drummer, and Sean just sitting there for like three, maybe 3.5 days, and cracking guitars. It really sucked for him.
I think
We
it
were
paid
just
off
sitting
though.
there eating Chipotle. It was good.
Yeah, but I think it paid off. I think
Thank you.
this is a super heavy sounding album. I
Thank
mean,
you.
you know, I do listen to a lot of like noise rock and cows and stuff that isn't like quote unquote heavy. Do
I love
you
cows.
know what I mean? That's more on the scronky side.
Hmm.
But this I feel is like a very heavy sounding album.
Yeah, we have some scrunk sometimes. We've had it in the past. I'm sure we'll bring it back. I fucking met Shannon from Cows like 2, 3 years ago when we played Caterwall. And it was so weird because he was just like walking around like a normal person. And I couldn't resist because I love Cows and I love him specifically. So I was like, Shannon, I was like, Cows are my favorite band. Can I have a picture? And he like looked like all shocked. Like, come on, you don't know you're the man. And yeah, we took a nice picture and he gave me a little kiss on my forehead. It was really sweet.
That's awesome.
It was sick.
I spoke with Kevin a couple years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I had to tell him the story about going with a coworker to a record shop, and we found a couple Cows albums, and I bought one, and he bought the other, and he came to me the next day, and he was like, "That is the worst band I've ever heard."
Which one did he buy?
I think he bought Sexy P Stories.
That's a good album.
That is a good album. No, he was just a normie who listened to like Disturbed and stuff like that. Like he didn't know anything about good music, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Good. That's the reaction you should have.
But Kevin loved that story. He was like, "We should call him now." Do you want to say anything about the gentleman who mastered the album?
Oh, George Richter. Yeah. I love George. I've known George since we were fucking 13 years old. He mastered a single for us and he mastered some of my other band Infinity Land shit. Like he's been grinding in his basement studio. He does a podcast with that guy where was doing it with that guy. I think it's the singer of that band, I Will Be Done. George was like front of house sound for like Hatebreed, Acacia Strain, Kingdom of Sorrow, Unearthed for years. And when he had his kids, about, oh, it must have been a little over 10 years ago, he quit touring. So he's just been, a local Connecticut guy like me. And he's always been super forthcoming with advice on recording shit. And he's always like asking, like, oh, let me mix your album or something. And we couldn't really have him mix it because that was done at Silver Bullet Studios in house. But we got him to master this and he did an amazing job. I actually, it's one of the very few times I really noticed a difference from mixed to mastered. And yeah, that is my boy from way back in the day. And I love him. He played drums in that band. I don't know if you've heard of him. A Thousand Fallen Skies are kind of, people are talking about them again around here. Zoomers are bringing back early 2000s metalcore, but he's a great dude. And I'm so pumped we got him to master it. And thank you for asking. Who was asked about that? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that part of the process fascinates me because it's so, I don't think it's widely understood, and I myself don't really understand the difference really
Me
between
neither.
mixes and masters. Yeah.
It's like voodoo. But when I heard this one, I was like, okay. He made it sound very wet and punchy. That's what we wanted. So hell yeah, thanks, George.
So the album will be coming out in September, and around the same time, you guys will be doing a short tour. Do you want to say anything about that tour?
The tour is going to be awesome. It's going to be with Nerver, who are not only a sick band on a awesome label, Ghost is Clear Records, but they're just like the best dudes to hang out with. So we're really psyched to do that. We did a couple dates with them on that Chat Pile and Friends tour because they were on the whole tour, and Chat Pile, being sweethearts, had a bunch of us smaller bands do like 3 days and like really spread the love. So we get to spend that 3 days with them, and we hit it off so well. We approached them about the tour, and I was like, "All right, man, how do you want to split this up? You want me to take some dates and you take other dates?" And Evan was just like, "Why don't you just let me book the whole tour? Because last time we split it up between bands, it became a clusterfuck." So I was like, "Okay." And then like a month later, he had a 10-day tour booked, and I didn't have to do a goddamn thing. And that's awesome.
Cool. After that tour finishes up, do you guys have any plans for the rest of the year, or maybe 2026?
The rest of the year, yeah, I think we're gonna have a couple shows, maybe one or two before the end of the year. Next year, we definitely want to get out more. Definitely want to try to get to the West Coast or Canada. Maybe start writing another album. I'm gonna want to start writing another album. I don't know if the other guys are gonna be up to it because like they do all the work, like they do all the heavy lifting. I just like come along at the end and yell dumb shit. So yeah, we're gonna, see where the year takes us, but definitely want to play some shows and get to some more places we haven't got to before because these shows in the fall is like 6 states we haven't been to. So yeah, that's our plan. Just keep on keeping on, man. We're not going to release another album next year, but maybe we'll work on it. We got to take a fucking year off at this rate we've been going.
Right. What kind of bands do you like to tour or play shows with?
Just bands that are of our ilk, I really like, as far as new bands, Crippling Alcoholism are our boys, and we fucking love that band. My Wife is an Angel is another amazing band. Great record. Yeah, I bet came out this year. They're out of Philly. They rule. We played at Six Show with The World is a Beautiful Place, and I'm no longer afraid to die because Chris obviously recorded us, and that was sick. Would definitely like to play with them more. Always want to play with Chat Pile more because who wouldn't? Playing with Couch Slut is always fucking sick. You know, we're very fortunate to just have like a bunch of good friends that are in sick bands that we enjoy listening to. And I could probably go on for days. So I'm just going to stop. Oh, wait. Killer Kin out of Connecticut. Very sick. Terror Cell out of Richmond, Virginia. Among the Rocks and Roots. I'm going to stop now because I'll go on all day.
But do you feel like you want to stick more with noise rock and chaotic hardcore bands, or do you guys branch out from that in terms of the bands that you tour with?
We'll do anything. I feel like that's kind of our wheelhouse is like we can play with chaotic hardcore bands, but we could also play with hardcore bands. We could also play with bands like if we want to, we could do a set where there's barely any like screaming vocals, where it's mostly just yell. So we'll do anything. But yeah, definitely noise rock and chaotic hardcore. Once you get into standard hardcore, people just kind of look at us like we have three heads And then like if you put us on with like we love death metal, we love black metal, but we'll just piss those audiences off. But we will play for sure, but we'll just annoy those audiences. So
Right.
yeah, I guess it probably would be wise to play with noise rock or punk bands, post hardcore bands, what have you.
Yeah. So by the time people hear this episode, How I Fell in Love with a Void will be out through Brutal Panda Records. Tarek, please tell everyone how they can order the album. What's the best way to get it?
Best way to get it is, well, if you're in America, the Brutal Panda store at brutalpanda.com, I believe. Or if you go on our Bandcamp, that's also through Brutal Panda. We have a Death Wish European store or a UK store that you can get stuff overseas at. And yeah, that's pretty much everything you could want from us in the United States you can get on our Bandcamp. For overseas, though, yeah, Death Wish, and there might be more that we just haven't. I haven't been notified of the stores yet, but it's available everywhere. So please go to the Death Wish UK store rather than making Brutal Panda ship to you because the fees will be just exorbitant.
Yeah.
Did I say that word right? You ever say a word and it just doesn't sound right?
Yeah, no, the problem is I say a word that I've only read and I've never said out loud, and then realize later that I've been mispronouncing it because I've never actually said it out loud.
I'll say
But
like I'll, I'll say like spoon, and I'll think about the word spoon. I'll be like, you just say it so much. You're just like, what is this noise coming out of my mouth?
do you want to say anything about the vinyl versions that Brutal Panda created for this release?
Oh, they're beautiful. I got them. We already got them in the record. Like the colors, I love a good splatter. I'm that guy. Like I will buy the craziest splatter, and I love that shit. The cover art looks great, big, and we did a very minimalist inner sleeve, and it's got a hype sticker. So yeah, oh yeah, and our guitar player Sean did the layout. We had a photographer shoot the cover, but everything else was Sean, like the background and everything. So it's a really good looking record, and they did an amazing job. It's been an amazing label to work with for sure. Not that we've had a bad experience. All the labels we put shit out with, like Learning Curve or Reptilian and Constant Disappointment and Corpse Flower, have all been, but yeah.
Does all your merch go through the Bandcamp page?
Bandcamp and Brutal Panda has exclusive designs on their website. So the stuff that's on Brutal Panda's website, you could only get through Brutal Panda. We won't have it on tour. So
I gotcha.
you should definitely get that there so they make some money back because they spent a lot on it.
Right. I gotcha. And I should mention that most of your releases on Bandcamp are available as name your price downloads.
Yeah, because it's just like, what's the fucking point? People either got Spotify or they go on YouTube. So it's just like, I don't know, maybe I just got imposter syndrome. I don't feel like it's worth that much, but it's just like, just take it. We're just happy that people listen to it. And if you really want to support us or throw us money, you could buy a shirt or buy a physical. So whatever, enjoy.
And if people want to get updates on the band and find out more about the tours that we talked about, what's the best way to do that?
We're pretty active. I think Instagram, Intercourse Noise, probably is what we're most active on. And I also have the Facebook connected to the Instagram. We have a Twitter, but we don't really fucking use it. We just repost shit when we get posts on there. And I'm starting to use the Bandcamp community option. So like I'm starting to update shit on there, but I've just had some. You ever like buy something from a band and they fucking mass send out Bandcamp fucking emails like once a week and it's really unnecessary?
Yeah.
Like I've just tried not to do that, but now I'm trying to use Bandcamp appropriately, which is actually my favorite platform. I think it's an awesome place to post your music and like, why get a big cartel and pay for it? I'll just give Bandcamp fucking 10% and everything's in the same place. Love that site.
Yeah. Tarek, it's been really good chatting with you, But is there anything else you want to say? Anything you want people to know?
I just say, be kind to yourself, be kind to other people. You never know what someone's going through. If they're in a shitty mood, I just, be compassionate. And thank you so much for having me and giving me your time.
Thank you, Tarek.
And I can't help but wonder